Hey guys, so I found a recipe or video from Mary's Nest on YouTube for a quick and easy, like, busy mom sourdough starter. I've done sourdough before, but I don't have time to feed it every day. I have enough mouths to feed, I just don't have time to do it every day. So, I want to try this, and it looked really super easy, and you only have to feed it maybe once a week, and you throw it in your fridge. It doesn't have to even sit on your counter, which is great. I have enough crap on my counter, so we're going to try this. So I will put a link to her video down below. Again, it's Mary's Nest. She's great. She's also was a homeschool mom as well and did Charlotte Mason and everything, which I just found that out in one of her videos, which I find really cool. So I'm going to try this. This is also starting with just basic flour, so you're not even having to start with like your whole wheat flours and stuff. So I just got some spelt, so eventually I will transition into spelt down the road, but we're just going to start with plain flour and just my regular salt and sugar, just like I would for regular baking. So what we're going to need, sorry, I've got my notes over here, I keep looking over, move it. Okay, so you're just going to need some kind of container big enough to hold 3.5 cups of flour. She used one of those plastic cereal containers. You can use that. I just like glass, and it's skinny enough. I don't have room in my fridge. I have enough stuff in there with all the kids and stuff, so I'm not doing that. So I'm just gonna do this. So I have just a glass container. So any container will work. It just needs to be food grade, obviously, and you don't even need to be able to have the lid on really tight, so that doesn't even matter. And then you're going to need just regular flour. She recommends just starting with regular white flour, bread flour, one of the two. And then your salt, sugar, some yeast, and it didn't matter. She said you could either use active yeast or, what's the other one? Instant yeast, I think. I always get active, but she said either one. So I have active that I'm using, and then just water. And she said it also didn't matter if it was room temperature or hot water. Cold water really didn't matter either. So kind of got everything going here. So we are just going to start off with, we're just going to start building our starter. So it'll be in kind of a couple different parts, because as you know, with a starter, you have to start it and then check on it in a couple. Usually you would check on it every day. This one you only have to check every couple days, just for the first week maybe, and then after that maybe every week. So so we're just going to put everything in here. But first, because I have active yeast, if you had instant yeast, you could just go ahead and start dumping everything in, but I have active, so that's the only reason we're doing that. I already measured mine now, but so into your 1.5 cups of water, mine's just warm water. I have my, I have 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. I'm just gonna sprinkle that in there. And when I'm doing breads and things, I just learned to use the back of a wooden spoon. I don't know. And then I'm going to add my sugar in there, and it looks like we need a tablespoon of sugar. She said nothing really has to be too exact, so we'll see on that as well how this goes. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside, and then we're going to get our flour going. I am a horrible messy cook. You'll see, I will make a horrible mess over here, especially with this. I'll have it probably all over me. That's probably why she used the container that she had, because you could just dump it all in. It's okay. So 1 cup. I need to refill this. I just baked some white bread the other day. Running low. Keep a 5-gallon bucket of flour downstairs, and I just refill my bucket up, or my container up here of flour. But I've been, once the cold weather starts hitting, I like to bake more. Just need to fill it up. Yep, I'm making a horrible mess. This probably isn't even going to be the right amount of flour because half it's on my counter. Anyways, I don't care. And it's getting on my jacket. Okay. That's why we have a vacuum, right? Open. And dogs. Just kidding. Okay, so I have my flour in there. And then, let's see. Oh, and then I need my salt. How much salt do we need? We need half a teaspoon. Oop, that was a lot more salt than that. Just extra salty. Okay, so I'm just kind of incorporating the salt. Get that in there. Alright, now we're just going to add in that sugar and the yeast, and get all those little bits in the bottom. And the yeast should still be good. I keep mine in the freezer. It seems to last longer for me that way. And like I said, I just made bread the other day, some white bread, and it turned out good. So, what she said is this dough needs to be sticky, like wet. And I forget what term she used. Shaggy. I've never heard that term. I thought that was funny. I think she's from Texas. So, I definitely will probably need a little bit more water in this. So you want to like scrape down all the sides so as you can see like the flour is just sitting here. So it's pretty dry still. And you can tell the bottom is still dry in there. So you don't want that. But I'm still going to mix it around. So get just a little bit of water. And I'm in pajamas, yes. I live in pajamas. It's Friday. And it's Fun Friday. Which means I'm comfy. It's rainy and yucky here in St. Louis. I'm gonna do got this boys' school done early this morning. So that's kind of what mine looks like. might add just a little bit more water. Right, just to make sure it stays wet. And then she said, just like the natural yeast and stuff in the air will kind of start, the more breads that you're baking with or making with it, it'll start kind of creating like its own flavors and stuff. So, alright, I think it's looking good. So that is it for the starter. And then I'm just gonna put my lid on, but I'm just gonna put it on, I'm not gonna put it on real tight because I kind of want the air to get into it, like I said, to get all just the natural yeasts built up going into it. So I'm just gonna kind of gently set it on there. Just gonna loosely set it there. So this is my first starter. So I will just, oh my goodness, okay. So I will put it in the fridge and then we will come back in like a day or two and see how it is. Hopefully it'll have risen nice enough. And then we would take out about 3 cups worth, leave a half a cup in there, and bake our first loaf of bread. Hopefully it turns out good, and then we'll start the process again. So I'll see you guys back in about a day or two. See you in a bit. All right, so we are back, and I should have marked down what day this was. I don't even remember what day I started making this bread. I think I said I made this on a Friday. Pretty sure I did. So if that was Friday, today's Monday. So this is like 3 days into 4 days later. So like I said, the lid was just barely on there. But it looks absolutely beautiful. Look at all these bubbles. And as you can see, it has totally grown. And it smells already so good. So, it smells so fresh. My cat thinks when we eat or cook, she needs to help. Get down. Anyways, so what I have here on, it's a hard angle to cook and do all this. And I'm a hot mess. We just got back from the zoo. It was hot, but not hot, but like I got hot. But it was a beautiful day. So we took the day off of school to go to the zoo for a beautiful fall day. So, I just, I don't want my phone to fall off. Okay, so I just floured my countertop here just a little bit, and I have a little bit of flour on my hands, and then hopefully you don't want to over flour this either, I've heard. So, all right. Oh, it is so cold. It's cold, really cold. All right. So I want to leave about half a cup in there. It's really cold. Whoa. All right. So I'm going to leave about this much in there. So about like a baseball size in my jar. And I'll scrape down the sides on that. This dough, you don't really need to knead it or anything. That's supposedly the good thing, and you don't want to overwork it either. So I'm hoping with just enough of the flour that's kind of on here, I just want to kind of make it into kind of like a little round. It's kind of hard to show you without messing it up either. Let's see if I can lower this here without my phone plopping off. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so I'm just kind of spinning it, and I'm just getting a little bit of flour. Just enough so it's not sticking to it. And just kind of spinning it, like I said. Supposedly you don't need to knead it or anything. Look at me, I'm already getting flour again. I told you I'm a messy cook. There goes my cat again. I'll tell ya. That cat, she's my baby, but she runs this household. That's all I gotta say. All right, so you can put this on a cookie sheet or like a Dutch oven. You can put it on a cookie sheet or in a pan, and then like put water in it to kind of like help get the get all the crackles and stuff. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my cast iron. It's kind of like a Dutch oven one. I've never used it as such, so I don't even really know how to use it that way, to be honest. So I don't really know how the water would even like get in there with that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna, so this I know, like when I make like my popcorn and stuff, you know, I tip it over. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put just water in the bottom of this, and then I'm gonna put this on top like this, so the water can just kind of like seep into my pan, hopefully. I don't know. And hopefully you'll just kind of get it all crackly. But you don't have to have water either. I heard that that'll help. I wanted to try it in the cast iron because I want, like, sourdough is usually like that real crispy bread. And I just kind of wanted to see how it would crisp up in here. I don't know how it's going to work with the next loaf. If this totally fails, I'm just going to stick it on a cookie sheet for the next time. But I wanted to see how it turns out. In Mary's Nest, in her video, she just put it on a cookie sheet on some parchment paper. I know cast iron is not really supposed to stick or anything, and it usually doesn't with anything, but I sprayed it with just like a spray oil, just because I didn't want it to stick on the bottom. So that's me. I don't know. My hands are still yucky. And so she didn't score it or anything at the top at all. So she just kind of naturally let it do its own thing. I just kind of want it to be a little prettier cut up at the top. I don't know. It might totally ruin it too. I don't know. So I'm just going to use the top of like this spatula, and it's not even working, so I don't know. Maybe I'll get some flour in there. Let's see. I don't know. It's kind of cutting through it. Probably need a really sharp knife, I guess, to get through it. And of course, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, I don't know if this will pop through or not. I just made like a little cross in the center. I'll show you in just a second. So that's what I did on mine. So all you need to do is let it rise for an hour in the pan. She did not cover hers, and hers, seriously, I am like the messiest cook. She let hers just rise. She didn't cover it at all. Every time I've ever done any breads or anything, I always do a like flour sack, and I do it still have to open mine. So I just do like the flour sacks, and I'll do warm water and cover it that way. So that's how I'm going to do it, because that's how I do all my other breads, and that's just what I'm used to doing. So I'm going to get that wet with warm water, and I'm going to cover it. I'm going to throw it in the oven with just the light on. I have a gas oven. She had an electric oven, I believe, in her video. So again, everyone's video or everyone's stuff is different in every way, you know. And I don't remember when she even made hers, like what month it is. This is October 18th here in St. Louis. So, you know, everybody's bread's very different, rice is different, you know, so you just never know. So that's what we're going to do for the first rise. Or we only have to let it rise once. So we'll let it rise, and then we will put it in a 450 degrees oven. So 20 minutes before we need it to go in, we need to have it set at 450 degrees, because we need to already have that oven already at 450 degrees before we put this bread in there also. So what I'm actually going to do, I have a double oven, so this one is going to go in the oven that I'm not using with the light on. Then the top oven, 20 minutes before, I will set a timer before that, and I will get that going at 450 degrees. So when it's time to put it in, it will already be preheated and ready to go right at that temperature. Supposedly that's key. So make sure you at least do that much. Everything else, you know, you might be changing how you do that. So that's it on the bread. Then what you're going to do with your, like we said, now you're treating this like your, you know, sourdough starter. So you're gonna feed this. So I'm just kind of scraping down the sides. And then I got everything except the water, of course. Wasn't prepared. Alright. So I have just about that baseball size dough already in there, so that is already got the starter ready to go in there. What we're going to add back in here, no more yeast, because you've already got your yeast that's established, ready to go, built up. And then again, the, you know, yeast that is natural in the air and everything will build up and start going in there. So that's got the half a cup of flour in there already. So now you're just going to do 3 cups. Again, I just filled this up like to the rim, so it's really, really messy now. What the heck, I already had flour everywhere else. What's the difference, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to put a tablespoon of sugar. Now again, once this kind of gets started and your flavors start going, your yeast starts going, you can totally start cutting out that sugar once the yeast and everything start building, you know, all its flavors, and it makes its own like sugar basically. So you don't have to keep adding as much sugar. So maybe the next, maybe the next flour or next bread, or maybe even the next, I might start just kind of slowly cutting out the sugar, or slowly just decreasing it. It's kind of you on, you know, the flavor of what, you know, sugar you want in there. But you can slowly start cutting that out, and then you just need, don't have my salt either. Where's that? Salt. Then you need a teaspoon of your salt. Salt. Looks like a piece of pepper. That mixed in there. Okay. Teaspoon of salt. Like I said, I just like to use the edge of the. Sorry, I had like 2 people calling me right when I'm trying to make my video. Always life, right? Okay. So while I was answering those phone calls, I got my water ready. Multitasking. Okay, so I have my 1.5 cups, but it's not probably going to take that much. But we'll see how much we need. And I'm just going to scrape down the sides while I'm doing it. So we want it wet enough like the last time. And shaky, like she said. Sorry guys, again I have another phone call. Nobody ever wants to talk to me, and that is always right when I need to be doing something. So the water, again, just depends on how hot it is in your house, you know, how hot it is outside, if your windows are open. I think your elevation supposedly makes a difference in bread making, all of it. If you're using like whole wheat flour compared to bread flour, all that kind of stuff. So everybody's will be a little bit different. So it's not, bread making is never an exact science, I've noticed. It's kind of a little bit different for everybody. All right. it is pretty much done. It's kind of thick in the center though. And I don't want it to... First time I tried a real sourdough, like feeding it every day, it kind of came out like a hard brick. So I think I definitely had like way too much flour in there, and it wasn't wet enough for sure. So I definitely don't want that problem. So this is the consistency of mine. And again, I'm just going to pour that in there because I don't want that problem again. I want mine to make sure I have enough liquid in there. So, yep, this looks good. All right. Just get all those sides down again. It does get really stiff and sticky. And just kind of scrape your stuff off your spoon so you're not wasting it. All right. Show you. So that is the texture of mine. So it's still movable, but still wet in there, as you can tell. So again, we are going to put the lid on just barely. Just gonna set it on there. So that's gonna go back in the fridge for probably another 2 days, maybe 4 again when I get to it. That's the good thing about this. This is for busy moms. Just depends on when you get to it. I wanted to make this on Saturday. It looked great. I just didn't have time to get to it. All right. So we will get this covered. So I'm going to do hot water, warm water on my flour stack here. Drain it off. And so just cover it like that. I don't want it to touch. And actually I'm going to, I have had some of my bread stick too. So I'm going to spray just the top of that. I'm going to stick, put a little flour on the top of mine, just so I don't have the bread sticking to the top when it rises. Still might, and that's okay. It comes off pretty easy, but just in case. All right. So we will get that in that bottom oven, like I said. So I'm going to put mine in my oven with the light on, but you can just, if it's warm enough in the house or whatever, you can just stick it on your counter, put it on top of your fridge. That's a pretty warm place too. Anywhere that's just warm enough, as long as it's not cold, you're fine. Let it rise for an hour. But again, 20 minutes before that hour is up, you need to make sure that you set your timer for 400 and, or set the oven for 450 minutes, 450 degrees, and then you're going to bake this bread for 30 minutes, but you want to make sure that you check it at like 20-25 minutes. And if it's starting to really, really brown at the top, you want to kind of put like a tinfoil tent like you would like on a turkey, because you want, you know, you want it to get brown and stuff, but you don't want it to burn. So that is what we will do, and then we'll come back at the end and cut into it and see how it is. Wish me luck. Okay, sorry guys, but the vacuum's running, but so it's not finished on the bottom here. It's still soft and you can't hear the tapping. So the top is done. The bottom still needs just a little bit. So I'm going to throw it back in the pan. I'm going to throw it in upside down for just a little bit longer. There you go. The vacuum's stopping. So it just needs a little bit longer. So I'm going to put this side up so that this finishes just probably, hopefully, maybe 5 minutes. And we'll pull it back out. All right, you guys, so it is out of the oven and it is delicious. So the bottom, again, the vacuum's running so you can't really hear it. But I put it on the top rack too, so it kind of got a little crispier than it probably should have, but that's okay. It got done pretty fast. So I did put it in for 5 more minutes. So mine I put in all together was 35 minutes at 450. And I have a pretty big oven, and so mine was on the bottom rack the whole time. And I did put it in that cast iron, and I did put just some water in the bottom, like I showed you, and it worked great. When I went to pull out the bread, the water had already totally disintegrated, or evaporated. Not disintegrated, evaporated. So the water was gone. So it did work. It did make one bubble, which that just popped, I think. Thank you for sharing. Careful.
I'm okay.
I'm
totally fine, all right?
Thank you. Made a couple little bubbles, but it's crispy, it's golden, but it's still super soft. So like I told you, my very first time making sourdough, it was like hard as a rock, the whole thing. It was horrible. So this was delicious. We've already devoured more than half of it. My boys loved it. They kept eating already a ton of it. So this is definitely delicious. It's so soft. It is so good. So this is definitely going to be a perfect bread for my soups. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to keep working with it and try to use the dough for pancakes, muffins, different things like that. Make some cinnamon rolls, things as I start messing with the flour and turn it into use the spelt and things like that, and lessening with the sugar and just turning it more into a true sourdough. But for a busy mom like me, it's perfect. So
time to go work out.
Thank you. So this was definitely the way to go for a busy mom who just wants to try sourdough or just wants some quick, easy bread to just get something on the table for your family, and wants, to be able to keep going at it. Because sometimes just making bread, it's a process, and to whip that stuff out all the time is a pain in the butt. So just putting 3 cups in is not that bad, because when I make my Amish bread, it's 10 and 12 cups of flour, same as when I did my white loaves of bread that made 3 loaves at a time. It's just a lot at a time. So this is just little bits, so it's not so overwhelming for someone just starting out trying to make some homemade bread. And the house smells so good. So good. It's so warm. So I hope you try this. Let me know if it works for you. Definitely, like I said, I'm going to have Mary's Nest down in the description box below. She has amazing videos. I hope you go watch all her videos. She's so awesome with just basic homeschooling. She doesn't have a lot of homeschooling videos, but all kinds of learning videos if you want to learn anything about cooking. She's great, especially with traditional cooking, which I'm trying to get back into just learning that traditional way, that home feeling. I just really like it, especially because I don't know, I just really enjoy it. Something about with the homesteading and trying to get more into that your natural way and things like that. I just really enjoy it. So I hope this helped, and just let me know if you ended up trying it and if it worked for you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.